Hey guys, it's been a really long while. This is probably the biggest break I ever took from YouTube, but God did I need it. Anyway, Aquaman has a movie coming out, which in itself is kind of crazy. No one, and I mean no one, 15 years ago would have convinced me that this movie would be made, except maybe for Entourage, the TV show. If you watched Entourage, you know what I mean. But anyway, the movie's coming. It looks actually pretty fun, but where do you start a series, a comic for the King of Seas? Well, I got some fun and maybe good recommendations you should check out right now. The first run I wanted to talk about was the New 52's first 4 volumes, which is basically consistent of Geoff Johns' run. Aquaman had the stereotype of the guy who just kind of talked to fish. So both Geoff Johns and Ivan Reis, I believe, the artist, came in and tried to actually change the character or give him somewhat of a cool backstory or just make him different. Shorter haircut, he looked more badass, and the first arc is actually great. Even the crossovers worked really well here, bringing in the Justice League to interfere with the Atlantis affairs. And not only is it interesting and has an intrigue with the political stuff, but the epic fight scenes in that crossover are great. Anyway, this is a great, fast-paced, fun, exciting run for both fans and characters who think that he's kind of a joke, and then they read this and be like, oh, Aquaman is actually kind of cool. Peter David's run, or the Aquaman of the 90s, whatever you want to call it. Peter David was a big name back in the 90s, and even in the 2000s, actually, he's kind of still pretty a big name. But his bigger runs, like the Hulk and Aquaman, really get a lot of love because they kind of redefined the character and made them who they are today, or in some ways anyway. This was the reboot at the time that Aquaman needed. It was a little bit darker than his previous stuff, but it also had the signature Peter David humor that you expect from all his series. If you're looking for like a 90s action badass Aquaman, he has a fish hook and everything, it's a lot of fun. It's a little goofy and the art's a little outdated, but as the run goes on, it gets better, the art, and then the storyline is pretty solid. So I definitely recommend this to want to get into a longer run of Aquaman. As far as standalones, Aquaman, the Atlantis Chronicles is probably the one most people are going to recommend. This is really great if you want to see the history of Atlantis. It has Aquaman in it, but the main star is actually Atlantis, the kingdom itself. Peter David changes a lot, and for the better, for the history of the kingdom. And then the art, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, Espen? I think it's Esteban Marato or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong. I should have wrote it down. His art is really solid. It's older, but damn, it's like defining. Like when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's his art. So definitely worth checking out. For anybody who wants to know the history of Atlantis, why it's so interesting, why the political stuff works so well in all these runs, is really because this book pushed that, and I really think it did a great job. So check it out. It's a standalone. You can read it before anything else, before the movie, to really get the history of Atlantis itself. Listen, Aquaman is not the easiest character to figure out where to start reading. He has had some horrible runs, and he has a lot of ups and downs, where he'll start a good run, a new writer will take over, and it'll go down, aka the New 52. But overall, I actually think he's a pretty interesting enough character. He's, you know, the underdog. He is strong as shit. He can stand against Wonder Woman and Superman in a fight. Sure, he may not win, but he definitely holds his own. So yeah, I really recommend checking out these titles if you want to start with the runs. Definitely Geoff Johns or Peter David's run. The Rebirth run, even, I'll throw in there. Most people say to read it. It's not bad. It's pretty fun, but I think those 2 runs that I listed are better. Anyway, check out Aquaman. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to go see the movie. I think I definitely am. I think it looks fun, and I hope you enjoyed this list. Have a good day.